You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our review show for round 22. I think I completely stuffed that up on the Panic Room on Thursday night too, Deadly. I took over, jumped in, helped you out to do your show, and then I said I was in round 21. I was living in a time warp, but it was round 22 this week. 2 weeks to go for SuperCoach and for the regular season. How are you going, buddy?
Oh, yeah, I wish it was round 1 again, I'll tell you that much. It's been a year. It's been a year. That's the best way I can put it.
It has. We were chatting a little bit off air before we came on, just saying this is a little bit embarrassing, me and you coming on to talk about being SuperCoach experts with the way our teams have ended this season, mate. But it's all character building, as they say. We're learning a lot about what kind of things we want to do differently next year. And so maybe we'll be more relatable to the masses who stuffed up their teams just like we did.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. And look, just looking at the top scores for this week, it's pretty simple to see where I went wrong, you know. Not buying in on Nas, not going for these sort of pod guys, and even not jumping on Dawson and Rowell and trading out Rowell and all these guys that went all right, have been going all right for a good chunk of the year. And I didn't jump on because I didn't believe in him or fucking whatever reason it was, and is all really kicking me in the ass now.
Yeah, no, I can relate, and I think it's a bit of a lesson. I was having a really good chat on Twitter the other night just about learnings from this year, and I think the beauty of SuperCoach, I will say, is there's no one strategy that is the right strategy or the wrong strategy, but no matter which way you go about it, you've got to get those starting 600k blokes right. And you've got to get on the right, primo guys coming into the back half of the year. Like if you don't own Nas, if you don't own Dawson, if you don't know, it's just excruciating week by week, isn't it?
No, 100%. Yeah, no, it's looking at my team now. The defense best player was Harry Sheezel. I paid top dollar for him, and he's now average at best. And all the don't have Nas and all these other guys that score great. And well, what can you do? It's just have to plan a bit better throughout the weeks, eh?
That's it. And we're all got plenty of other sports to worry about too, which is really cool coming up. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. I want to just shout out what we will do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because we'll try to get through the games a little bit quicker than we sometimes do. I mean, at the end of the year, no one's got trades left. We'd rather be as interactive as we can. So if you've got questions, if you're in a preliminary final coming up, if you want to ask anything specific around different players or who we would target and things like that, Deadly and I will definitely help you out. We'll still run through all the games like we normally do, but we will run a little prize pack for anyone who does interact with us. So if you send us a message in our stream tonight, and we'll put it on air, and you've got the highest SuperCoach score for the round, so whichever person does comment and has the highest SuperCoach score, let us know your scores in chat. If you've got the highest, we'll send you a standard squeeze pack brought to you by our day one sponsors, the Standard Squeeze. And if you want to buy one of their packs, you can get online and get on there and use the code IFS 2025 and you'll get 15% off your order. But for those of you who are listening in, who are being our loyal listeners and watchers all year, if you've got the highest score this week and you send us a message in here, we'll chuck it on air and we'll give you a pack as well. So get involved for something to do tonight. Let's get into the game, shall we, Deadly? So we'll go all the way back to Thursday night. And it was supposed to be a top of the table kind of clash, Hawthorn versus Collingwood Thursday night footy, and I think Collingwood tried to do a bit of an Essendon impersonation and made it a bit of a one-sided, boring game of footy. But Hawthorn really bought their A game, and Collingwood didn't, and it was a big margin.
Yeah, got out of hand a bit this game, but the experience of some of these Hawthorn blokes really showed out. Sicily was awesome. Gunston was really good in front of goal. Even Lloyd Meek was real awesome. these sorts of guys really, really showed out. And I think the real highlight of this game, and I wouldn't even call it a highlight, it's a bit of a low light, was that nasty collision with Jeremy Howe and John Newcombe, and just how badly Collingwood got, like, their back half looked horrible without Howe, and it's a real shame that it ended the way it did for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was one of those ones, and look, I'm pleased that it was sort of come up with no case to answer. Like, not the media want to put these things up a lot, and they want to talk about these controversial incidents, but there are accidents in the game. Yeah. There was no malice at all in that contest. John Newcombe, if anything, tried to tackle. Maybe he had some poor technique around the way he tackled, and there was a head clash. And I think the damage was sickening, but I think it was more because his head bounced off the ground, which is horrible. And hopefully Jeremy Howe is doing okay. Hopefully it's just the 1 week concussion that he misses, and everything is good to go for round 24 after that. But yeah, it wasn't one of those incidents that anyone would have left there thinking, gee, I liked seeing that. It was pretty harrowing.
You'd be crazy if you like that shit. Yeah, I'll put you in a psych ward. But yeah, no, it was complete freak accident. Both of them were going in 100 miles an hour. Look, it just ended up being basically like a car crash type of situation. Just nobody could stop in time.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but it's good to hear that Jeremy Howe's back in safe hands at home and recovering.
Yeah, I agree. So SuperCoach wise, and we say this probably about these two teams every week, they're not really SuperCoach reliable teams. They chop and change every sort of week who gets the great scores. I mean, Lloyd Meek, I thought, had a great game. He went 148. We had John Newcombe, who went on to have a really good game after he passed his HIA and came back on and got to 126. And then it was a couple of their other, like the little blokes like Dylan Moore got a 110. He was really good. And I think, the Wizard was really good as well. More pushing those guys up into the midfield to get that speed on the ball. I think that was a priority. And I think I heard it might have been Jack Gunston said after the game they had 9 forwards in the team for the first time all year. And so they did have to use a couple of them as midfielders, and it seemed to work, and it showed Collingwood up for a bit of pace. Now, except for the fact that the Pies are now in the pack and they were well ahead, I don't think their game is in bad shape. But they do now put themselves in a position where they need to be beating probably at least one of Adelaide and Melbourne to be secure where they want to be, or if not both, to finish top 4, which is probably crazy. We wouldn't have thought that a month ago, would we?
No, that's it. That AFL's just really tightened up, especially the past couple of weeks. That's Collingwood's first month. Last month, sorry. It was basically they've only had the one win, and the last 28 days they've played 5 games and only the one win. It's been pretty horrible for them. And before Adelaide won tonight, it would have been there's only one win separating 8th and 1st. So real tight ladder. And
it is.
I did see that Collingwood do have a chance to miss the 8, but they need a lot to go wrong for them. But top 4 is definitely going to be a big struggle, but they do like the Melbourne matchup, and as long as they win that, I think they'll be right.
Yeah, I think, I agree. I think they'll make it. It's sort of one of those miracle ones, when you get to the end of the NFL season and they say these 47 different things have to happen for this team to jump the other team. That's what it's like.
It's like in round 16 when you say, Essendon still have a chance to come first, and you go on the ladder predictor and you're sorting out all the different matchups. And then it dies the first game.
Not happening. I think the main talking point out of the Collingwood half is probably a couple. Like, Nick Dacos looks a bit sore to me. He looks like they're trying to preserve him, putting him to half back at times. It's probably a bit of a concern for people. I mean, no one's got luxury trades at this time of year, and Collingwood can't afford to rest him because they need to win. But he's probably a bit of a worry. And I think this experimentation now with Josh Dacos played that ripper last quarter against the Suns, and now they're putting him in the middle every now and then. And that, if you owned him, you'd probably be saying, put him bloody back at half back, because it's messing with him, right? And what did he get in this game? 70. So it was pretty mediocre all round in the Collingwood half of the equation. SuperCoach scores were just poor for most of them.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Yeah, look, no one really shone for Collingwood in this one. Pendles was good, the old boy, but really besides that, they couldn't get anything going. No handball string was working for them, and the young Hawks and the smaller Hawks just sort of ran them off the ball, and it really just got out of hand. I do think Collingwood bounce back within the next 2 weeks, but it does beg the question: should Fly have potentially rested Dacos when everyone was saying, "Oh, he might rest him" just over a month ago? And it's maybe a bit of an learning experience for Fly as well. We'll see how we go. We'll see how Nick goes come finals time.
Yeah, agree. We'll move into the blockbuster on Friday night, which ended up being not a bad game, to be completely honest. I mean, this was A grade versus Z grade. You could see the skill difference. But for 15 minutes in the third quarter, Essendon gave us as fans something to cheer about for 15 minutes. Right, that was probably the game in a nutshell. Like it was never in doubt. Geelong did what they had to do. But for that 15-minute period, I think, what did we kick, 4 or 5 in a row? It was a bit exciting for a while. Liam McMahon kicked 4. It was something to cheer about anyway.
Archie Roberts is good at footy. Zach Merritt, we know about Zach Merritt. We don't need to go too far into him, but there's a few guys that are definitely welcome back from injury and, all these sorts of things. And I watched about 5 minutes in the fourth quarter before I eventually turned it off because I got sick of it, and I saw Ben Hobbs drop about 3 easy marks and called it. That's what sealed it for me. I said, "Yep, fair enough. I've got better things to do here."
Fair enough. On the Geelong side, those who were stacking the Geelong players to take advantage of their easy draw probably didn't leave the game as happy as they could have otherwise. Like, I mean, Bailey Smith, everyone's got, and he was fantastic. Got a 141, was probably BOG. Cameron did okay, I thought. There was nothing special about his game. I thought at times Laverde did okay on him. At times Redmond did okay on him. And, he kicked his 4 goals, 5. Could have probably been a lot more, but 106 SuperCoach points. And Myers 112. There was nothing really massive, like people who wanted big scores out of Myers as a unique or Holmes as a unique. They got their hundreds, but that was about it.
Yeah, no, my VC sat on Maxi Holmes because I wanted to be a bit unique from Baz, and that backfired on me for sure. But Geelong were just good. They're rolling. They're ready for finals by now. You can see, and I've really liked the way Grind Myers' game has developed, especially this year. It's really gone to another level on top of how good it already was. Jezza, the 100 dream in home and away season's probably dead now. If he slotted those 5 goals that ended up being behinds, it could have gone real close. But I think he might get there in finals, mate. I don't know. I'm still holding hope for him.
What's he need? I think 21 to go. He's got two games in finals. One of those games is Richmond. Look, he's a chance, but I think with Sydney
round 24, it might be worth just chucking the captain on him because they're just going to feed him.
They're going to try to feed him. Yeah, if the game's over early, they'll be looking for him at all costs. I think that's for sure. So look, let's see how it goes. If he gets there, it'll be one for the ages. 2008, I think it was. A buddy kicked his 100. That's the last time. So these things don't happen very often. So it would be good to see. It'd be actually interesting to see how it affects a final. If it's imagine a prelim. And it's 3 quarters in, and he kicks 100, and the whole crowd storm on, and they can't get him off. It'll be very interesting, anyway. But we'll probably move on from this game. I think Essendon, we've spoken about them enough. I think the Zach Merritt owners are probably the ones that got a bit of head scratching to do now. If you have a trade, he's out at least next week with that sort of fracture in his hand. And if he's out for 1, who knows if he's out for 2 or 3, right? So he's a trade if you've got any trades in the bank. If you don't, well, it's just bad luck, and that's what happens at this time of year. That's why we say hold your injury trades, even though none of us listen to our own advice.
Yeah. And just one last quick one. If you're like me, stupidly, and you didn't have a trade to trade out Lockie Neal, and you were using Archer May as cover, and saw that vision, it looked really bad at first, but apparently just a bad roll. We know how scans in the hanger go. We'll see how we go, but
Yeah, I didn't love when Brad Scott said we'll see what the scans say, but apparently it's just a roll. So hopefully it's nothing. If he misses a week, so be it. But it shouldn't be anything more than that. Moving into Saturday, and first up was a game that was again quite entertaining. Surprisingly, Richmond St Kilda. Again, the Tigers did what you would have loved to do, and with a bit more composure. And interestingly, that last sort of 30 seconds, it was McIntosh who ran too far and stuffed up, and he's got 15 years of experience. It wasn't one of the kids who made a stupid error. So I think they could have had one last crack anyway. Whether they would have kicked a goal, who knows? It was probably one of the typical St Kilda things to do. They've been going really well, playing some good footy, and then just had a bit of a downer this week against the Saints. And for periods in this game, it was just circle work. It was Richmond flooding back, St Kilda chipping to their own players, couldn't move the ball inside 50, and no scoring. It was pretty it was close, but it wasn't champagne footy, let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, 100%. I thought at times in this game especially that Richmond were absolutely dominant in the midfield especially. And then when it sort of was forced to enter forward 50, there wasn't too much going on. And then obviously the flooding back, and St Kilda were just able to do what they want. I thought obviously Jack Sinclair was awesome. He scored like it was awesome. So did Nass. So did Windhager. They were my top three for sure.
Yep.
Cal Wilkie was also awesome, but we know how good he is. But yeah, for Richmond, Ryan Mansell, he really impressed me in this game. I'll tell you what, he was really, really good.
He was. He looked sore early, but he came back on and was really impressive. I mean, 102 SuperCoach points probably really doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, he put the pressure on a lot and slotted both his goals, 7 tackles, and I bet you a few of them were inside 52. So, yeah, him and Jack Ross were two of the best on for sure, and their SuperCoach provides it. Yep. But yeah, you can't count out Wang at this stage, and I think we've come to learn that he's just seriously good at AFL football.
Yeah, I think one of the things was really interesting because I VC'd Nass, and at that stage of the weekend I was still alive because it was only the third game, and it wasn't until Saturday night that my season was over. But I was just watching him really closely. First half, he was just okay. He was fair without really dominating. But one of the things that they're doing really well with him is they're sitting him just off the stoppage. Richmond were actually going, like you said, really well at stoppages, and putting Nass in the middle of that clutter was no use to them. So they put him a bit behind the stoppage. They became the first receiver. They got him the ball whenever they could to go inside 50. And the other thing, he went and started taking kick-outs. When he wasn't getting the footy, he took kick-outs. And I think in that third and last quarter, there must have been 3 kick-outs where he got 3 or 4 possessions in the one chain. It was maybe they're the ones you should be trying to stop if you're an opposition. I know it's hard, but let him have the first one, but maybe get someone to run with him and don't let him get 3 or 4 because it's going to kill you eventually, isn't it?
Yeah, the kid runs for days. He's a serious animal, just an athlete, and you probably need someone with just as big as a motor and as big as a tank as him just to go with him, and it's just hard to do because he's one of a kind, really, at the minute.
Yeah, probably the other one in this game. I mean, we got good scores out of the usual suspects. Sinclair 135, Wilkie 145, Marshall 109. Windhager's been great again since they've released him as a tagger. He's been really good, 121, Nass 149. And I really liked the game of Hugh Boxall, and he might have saved a few people if you needed a score, if you had a man down or something like that. I know one of the guys I played in the league got his 92 on field, so he might have helped you out. And the other one, which SuperCoach scoring didn't say anything about him, but the Flying Vikings just good to watch, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. He was really good. Boxall, I was really impressed by in this one. He did all the dirty work and did it really, really well. He looked like a 150 gamer, let alone a 5 gamer in this one. Yeah, whether that's just a matchup thing against Richmond, but he looked class, and I think he's going to hold his spot for at least the last 2 games of the season for Saints, you'd reckon?
Yeah, you would think so. Anything else in this one, mate, before we move into probably the upset of the round?
No, that should probably be about it.
And we get into he was. He's been impressive too. Brisbane, Sydney. This was, I mean, it was close in the end, but it wasn't really. Sydney really dominated this game. It was only the last sort of 5 minutes when it was all over that Brisbane looked half a shot. Supercoach wise, Josh Dunkley loves playing the Swans, and he scored another massive 167. Ashcroft 107, the Suitcase 123, Wilmot 120 was good with a couple of goals running off half back. And then Levi Ashcroft, his role was really interesting. He started in the middle, got a bit of midfield time early, but then went back to the wing in the second half, and he got 113. And over for the Swans, it was the Isaac Heaney show. Geez, he was bloody good. Another 5 goals and 23 disposals with 136 Supercoach points.
Yeah, he's a freak. He's awesome, and was really the differential for them in this game, as sort of expected with Lockie Neal going down. Will Ashcroft got the big bump in CBA time, went from averaging about 50% CBA time to all the way up to 90% CBAs in this game. Huey McCluggage had his second most CBAs for the season. So, yeah, big bump for them. Levi had his most CBAs for his career. So, yeah, good to see them mixing in a bit of youth and keeping their old guys well rested. But at the same time, you probably would have backed Brisbane before this game, but Sydney were really impressive, and I can't really fault them. Not many of them played too bad.
Agree. I think the only one that probably Supercoach owners would have been a little bit annoyed with after, I mean, they can't really be annoyed because he's carried their season. Brody Grundy, has carried lots of teams in Supercoach, and then he showed up and Darcy Fort pretty much tagged him. It was like we say Ruckman can't get tagged, but Fort legitimately tagged him.
He did his best.
He still did okay. He got a 99, but it was nothing special. Blakey was great with run off half back. Goulden I thought was good, but a terrible Supercoach score. So that tells me maybe that the efficiency wasn't there with 73, even though he had 29 disposals. Warner was good with 106. But the Swans, I mean, this will be the season that got away for the Swans, I think. And, a large part is definitely health and early in the year not having Goulden and Cunningham and McCartan and a few of their regulars certainly play a big role in that. But I think at the same time, there was some games like they dropped the Essendon game. They still dropped games that even with Soldiers missing, you should have won, and that's probably going to bite them in the end, and they're going to finish as the best of the also rans, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you're probably right with that. Yeah, I think Sydney fans would have been hoping for more this season, but at the same time, I feel like some of their players definitely overperformed, and it definitely showed us a lot for the future. Especially Angus Sheldrick, I thought was awesome in this game. Not having Callum Mills for ages, not having all these sorts of guys, including Errol and whatnot for ages, definitely didn't help. Justin McInerney at times is really handy for them. So, they'll go away at the end of this season. And as long as they get their bodies right, I think they'll be back up there. But I tell you what, if you're upset with Brody Grundy not scoring 100 for the first time since round 8, you can stick it.
The reality will be, though, there will be some coaches who have got to the position that they've got on the back of Grundy and then might have lost a final this week because of Grundy. So it can just happen, can't it? That's the way it goes. But he's been awesome for most of the year. So copped a bit of a knock in that last sort of 4 minutes, but it apparently has passed his HIA, so it should be good to go. Yeah, it should be good to go. And they might be the giant killers, Sydney. They play Geelong next week. Again, they might shape the 8. I mean, Brisbane now are in a position where, last week or 2 weeks ago, everyone's thinking, gee, you got to go through Brisbane to win this thing. And now with a pretty tough run, I think they've got Freo in Perth next week, and then they come home in that last game of the year, if you exclude the dead rubber Essendon and Gold Coast, against Hawthorn in that Sunday night game in round 24. And if they lose both of them, they're at significant risk of either just sneaking into 8th or missing altogether, which is ridiculous. Would have never thought that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's very true. They would need the Doggies to win out to miss. Thankfully, for that draw that they got. Doggies do have Freo in Marvel in round 24, so that'll be a big game to decide the top 8 pretty much.
Yeah.
We've got some good football coming up the next 2 weeks, Hurls. Let's just put it that
We
way.
do.
But I'll tell you what, first game next week is not good football. But we'll move on.
we'll get to that in the preview later in the week. We'll move into what was another quite good game, and I've been having a lot of Twitter arguments this weekend about some Essendon players who are whipping boys and saying you got to give credit where it's due, even if you hate someone. You've got to give them credit when they play well. So I'm going to take my own medicine here, and I'm going to say Carlton were really good in this game. I really did like the way they changed a few things up. So Lord's become a tagger all of a sudden in the last couple of weeks, and he's won the footy, he's tackled, and he's stopped a bloke. So he took Anderson out of the game.
It's going to work for him, if not already is working for him. He's already had the talent. Now he gets to follow around some of the best players in the games, just paths, and gets to right up against them, tackle them. He's going to be a superstar of this game before too long. And we're seeing it now with Windhager. He's sort of getting released away from tagging, and he's becoming a real good midfielder. It's going to happen with Cooper Lord. He's a serious star of the future.
Yeah. And I thought
I wish he was on Carlton.
No, I agree. A couple of other shout-outs. And you see this often against Gold Coast. So Ollie Hollands had a big game with 29 disposals, and so did Lockie Cowan, 22. Those back flankers against Gold Coast can get a bit of free footy the way the Gold Coast roll their half forwards up. But someone else who was really, really good in this game, you might know a bit more about him. You do a lot of work covering, the next tier down, and I think this guy was maybe a mid-season draftee, I want to say. But Frankie Evans, well, where's he come from? He looked like bloody Peter Matera for half a game.
So Francis Evans, I believe, if I'm right in saying, he's been around AFL for ages. I think he got delisted from Port last season. Was originally with Geelong. I think he got delisted from Port last season. Sort of just been kicking around in the VFL for Carlton, coming up when needed. But he definitely had his, I don't know if you would call it his breakout game. We'll see where he goes from here. But definitely one of his best games in AFL football, that's for sure.
Yeah. 100% agree. And the other, probably the last bit on Carlton, and I'll stop giving them some love, but the Tom De Koning solo ruck wasn't as fruitful as anyone who held him would have expected.
No.
It was a hard matchup. It was against Wits, and we know Wits is really tough. But TDK with 15 disposals and 75 SuperCoach points isn't what owners would have wanted, but it might be what people would have wanted who are thinking about him as the solo ruck for St Kilda next year would have wanted, because that keeps his average nice and low, and it might mean in the preseason we think about going value again.
Yeah, well, can we really jump on the TDK train for like the third year in a row? Seriously?
I was saying this with Brody on the Panic Room on Thursday night. You'd only go here if Marshall wasn't in the mix. If Marshall stays and TDK is there with him, then just you shoulder arms completely to that. But if he's solo ruck and he's 400 grand, he'll suck us in. That's what they do, these blokes.
Hard to ignore. I'll tell you what. And you see, not even the blokes that are like top of the like the rankings, first overall, second overall, but the guys who win the weeks, most weeks, always have 3 rucks. That's what it's a common theme. So the real pop off, if you can, I think we sort of got it right from the jump that 3 rucks is the strategy, but it takes a lot of sacrifice in structure. But I think it's just outdo it. Just
I think you're right. I think if you think, I mean, we'll do some analysis for next year later on, I'm sure. But if you could manufacture 3 rucks, and this year because Jackson's in the mix, some have even got 4 rucks. But if you could manufacture at least 3 rucks and have enough DPP that the flexibility doesn't hurt you, I think that's the way to play it. You've got to get the right ones. Like you had to have probably for the last month, it's been Grundy, Gawn, and maybe I want to say Marshall for that period would have been the right 3. Sherry being out probably changed that, but I think that's the way to do it. Over to Gold Coast, they got the job done. They weren't overly impressive. They were up early and then probably let Carlton back in it a fair bit. I think Witts had a great game, 124 SuperCoach points. Our man Matt Rao, the grass eater, was on fire again. He just loves it at the moment. He must be killing you deadly as someone who traded him out early in the year, but another 146. He somehow is in my opponent's team every week of the season in leagues. Every week. It just
he
has
seems
been
to be a popular person
uncanny
to jump on.
Yeah.
Like you look at history and all these stats like we do. Jumping on Matt Rowell after his couple shit games and the one good game back was a horrible decision, but it's bloody worked out for you. And I don't know what you did to deserve it. And I don't know what I did to deserve the absolute fisting that I'm copying from him. But my God, he's definitely given it to me.
Absolutely, and it's one of those ones that we're going to have to really do some analysis and get in and under about this over the off season to see is he going to be a must have next year, or can you trust him? Will he go back to that inconsistent thing? We did say at the start of the year a Matt Rowell who can get involved in transition will be an elite SuperCoach performer, and I guess that's the thing, right? Now he is involved in that. He's still winning his contested possessions. He's still tackling. He's still getting the ball in and under, but he is getting involved more in transition and in chains, and that's making the biggest difference, I think.
Yeah, 100% it is. That's taken his like 80s all the way up to 100s, 120s. So pretty much if lesson learned, and this will be my number one lesson when we do a lesson pod, just hold your primos unless they're like Corn Francis type of areas. Just if they just can't get into the game, it's all right. But if there's roll over it all.
Roll.
As long as you still
roll over score.
Yeah, roll over score. Just trust the roll. Back in the roll.
And I think that was maybe an error I made a lot. I preach that a lot. Everyone who has watched us all year has heard me say roll over score a million times. But there was some that even I got a bit sucked into where I sort of got too carried away and trigger happy early with some scores that I wasn't happy with. And I think what it was, because Cash Gen was so critical and we were struggling to get those rookies, I think there were some decisions that I made, and I'm sure others did similar. And these decisions that I'm talking about are things like the Finn Callahan trade out, the Connor Rozee trade out, the Pepper Pig trade out even after one really shit score. Like, it was. I looked so hard at the break evens and didn't want to lose cash that I almost was blinkered to the fact that maybe these guys come good and holding fire for that. I think the thing you've got to do though, and I think this is my biggest lesson, you've got to get your 600K blokes right to carry some underperformers for a little while, because my 600K blokes early in the year, like Lockie Neal, Dane Zorko, Zach Merritt at the time, that they were underperforming. And because my guns were underperforming, my stepping stones, I wanted to get them off as soon as the cash leaked. And I think if your primos are dominating, then I think you're probably more inclined to say, all right, well, I'm still getting a 2,300. That 75, I'll just wait and see. I'll wait another week or something. All right. I think that's probably a big lesson for me too this year.
100%. You're completely right. I've got no qualms about that. That's exactly how it seems to me as well. And I think it all just relates back to Cash Gen, and everyone's starting to play the break-even game. I know me personally, I played the break-even game massively. I was trading blokes out because their break-even was 5 higher than this other guy, and they started performing better. And it's all that sort of stuff that takes into it. But hopefully next year we get a new crop of rookies that can actually play games, and even these a few of these guys like Josh Smiley and Jagger Smith and the likes that can get good consistent games at the cheap. And I think Frankie's right with that too.
Absolutely. A couple of free hits like those two blokes you mentioned, hopefully. And then if Swanee does his thing and pisses the sub rule off for 5 on the bench, I think you're right, Frankie, that if that goes, that's going to change SuperCoach again next year. And we'll still have cash issues. We'll still have underperforming rookies, etc. But at least you're not going to have guys that play one quarter or play 2 quarters and then get dragged off. That's a big change. One last point on this game, which certainly in the end killed my season. And again, a bit like the Grundy conversation, I don't want to go too hard on this bloke because Nando's has been fantastic for me. I picked him up in about whenever their bye was, round 14 or something like that. He's been brilliant since then, but he completely sucked this week with a 55. Cooper Lord took him out of the game, and it made it impossible for me to get a good score.
Cooper Lord was just awesome, man. I can't believe it. He was so good against in probably one of the toughest matchups, and I suppose it does suck if you're an Nando's owner, but hey, I got to respect the game that Cooper Lord had for sure.
100%. So moving into the other game, and this was probably one of two games that involved bottom 8 against top 8 teams, and the top 8 team really had to work. The other one was obviously today with Adelaide, but Freo looked in all sorts of trouble when Connor Rozee kicked that goal with, what was there, about 90 seconds or two minutes on the clock.
2 minutes or so,
And they got over the line thanks to a really good mark from Alex Pearce and goal.
That's not pressure. The first time he's done that either, Alex Pearce. I
agree.
Big time player.
Yep. I don't know what his score was, but he's ended up with a 69, Alex Pearce, kicking that goal. I would have thought that would have been worth 30 or so. So he mustn't have been on much before that. I'm not sure. Obviously he's not a commonly owned player, so I wasn't watching before that to get a bit of a sense.
I do like to look at things like that. As like I remember a couple months back when Luke Jackson kicked his clutch goal and got given 25 points or something for it. I would like to see what it was, but I don't think anyone's got it documented. I do like to look at how much the scaling does come into it, but it was a ripping goal, and I suppose that's what you do as one of your leaders of your football club.
Yep, absolutely. And he called it after the game that it's a set play when they need to win. He's got license to go down and do that, almost a little bit like the goalkeeper going down for the last corner in a soccer game when they're needing to kick a goal, right? Something like that. Yeah, so he did the job, and all credit to a bloke who's copped a lot of flack in the SuperCoach community this year because he's been an underperformer. Caleb Sarong has been pretty average this year, and owners would have been sort of feeling that. But he had some telling possessions in that last quarter, including the kick to Pearce. It was an intercept mark, kicked it to Pearce. Like, he had a great last quarter. He had a great game, but great last quarter. Ended on 131 SuperCoach points. So shout out to him. Few other notables here. Zach Butters bounced back as we all knew he would with a 130. Aaliyah, I thought was.
Zach Butters was on for a massive game. I thought I was watching the other game on at the time, and I checked SuperCoach, and at halftime or something, he had 103. And I thought, geez, he could go 200 here. I haven't watched it, but he had about 19 touches, and then he slowed right down by the time I turned the game on.
Yeah, I was the same because I had Butters as a unique, and I was hoping he got the 180 to make up for I had both games on, and Anderson was on 17 at the time or something. I'm like, all right, so if Butters can get 180, it'll make up for Nando's 17, but it didn't quite work out that way. But anyway, he had a great game.
Continuing your one, Aaliyah, he was really good. 17 marked.
Yeah, he was on one leg. He has been on one leg probably for 6 weeks, to be honest, and he's just playing really good footy. Had a 146. Farrell was good distributing again, 106. It was good to see Travis Boak back in as an influential player in this game. Like, he's been a brilliant player for the best part of 2 decades. Announced his retirement during the week, and he had a good game to back it up with 22 disposals and 100 SuperCoach points.
Yep, 100%. That's how you want to see a legend go out on when they want to, is how we want to see it.
Yeah. Who else? So Wines was good. Rozee
Jackson was the same. Faded away at halftime a bit. I did see that. As well.
He was on a massive score. I think 70 something just 2 minutes into the second quarter, and then he stopped.
One guy who we haven't brought up who had a massive game, Neil Erasmus. He was really good.
He did, and I think he showed what a lot of us had been calling for in the preseason. Right? He does this at waffle level consistently. He hasn't been able to do it consistently at AFL level, but he played a great game in this one. 26 disposals, 138 SuperCoach points. Connor Rozee owners would have been happy because he came back and he got, I thought his score was probably a bit overinflated because of that goal, and 112 was a bit more than his actual game was worth, but he still got it, so good luck to him. And Manny Liddy, someone in one of my leagues, got his 70 to help out. And Manny Liddy beating Noah Anderson wasn't on my bingo card on a Saturday night. But anyway, it happened.
It could have been a bit better too. He had that after Pearce kicked that goal and sort of Port got the free kick. He had about 3 chances to get it inside and drop the ball each time. It was really unfortunate. He crumbled under the pressure, I suppose. But yeah, there was a few different chances for him to go even bigger.
Yeah. And last one in this one that we'll talk about, mate, we have to, again, give credit where it's due. The Prancing Pony. He used to be at our club, and a lot of Essendon supporters very divided about Voss. And I think what I will say is I love that he's going well. I think that's it's great that he's putting. He's one of those players that's going to piss a lot of people off. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. He's like a bit aggro all the time, and he's going to annoy a lot of opposition fans and supporters. But I think the good thing that I liked hearing Pearce say is that even Voss would have acknowledged that Essendon, he didn't really put the work in, and he didn't really know what it was to be an AFL footballer. And when he got on his last chance and Freo gave him a train-on spot over the summer, he just took it with both hands, and now he's putting the work in. So always good to see those stories where someone realises, shit, I have to put the work in, and now he's getting the rewards. He's very important for this team, and they're in the finals mix. Yep,
100%. And he's been a key part for the back end of this season as well for them. And more power to him. I thought Jordan Clark was a bit ordinary in this one. He couldn't really get involved. He was one that sort of, if you owned him like myself, I think you'd be happy with an 82, to be honest, the way he played when I turned it on.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think he got 6 or 7 disposals of his 20 in the last quarter. So he was really struggling before that. And he's been one of those guys this year. He's got some really massive scores, but then he just seems to have got some 80s to really piss you off if you're an owner. And if it was the wrong time to get an 80, it's not ideal. Anyway, so Freo did what they had to do in the end. They get away with the win. They've got 2 tough games coming up. They've got Brisbane at home this week, and they've got the Bulldogs away in round 24. They have to win one of those to make the 8, you would think. So it's not a lay down misère, but they could do it, and they've got their destiny in their own hands at least. Probably the only poor game of today was the GWS and North Melbourne game. When I say poor game, it was actually okay to watch. The footy was transition. It was end-to-end, but it wasn't a high-pressure game by any stretch. It was high scoring. It was almost like GWS said, whatever the others score, we're going to score more. And it wasn't necessarily anything different than that. Some good scores there. Toby Green back from suspension with 126. Finn Callahan was good, 137. Tom Green, 120. Loves playing at Canberra. Cadman kicked 4. The Irishman Brown kicked 5. Stringer did what he needed to do, kicked 3. Then they gave him a bit of a rest to manage him at the end of the game. So they did what you would have expected a good team to bounce back from their shit game last week. Their tests will come now in the next 2 weeks. It was never going to be this week. And for North Melbourne, I thought there were some good signs there as well. Wardlaw's important to them. He played a really good game again. Little ankle tweak at the end, but looks nothing. 114 SuperCoach points. McKercher, I thought, was one of his better games. And that might
really
sound
efficient with the ball.
Yeah, that might sound a bit strange to say that because he's got bigger SuperCoach scores for sure than 118. But yeah, he tended to move the ball a lot better today. I thought he was on the move. He was first receive. He kicked a goal. I really liked his game. Sherry came back and just was okay without doing anything spectacular. Again, 7 tackles, saves his score probably with 102. Daniel, 82, was just okay. Shizu was good in the second half, 31 and 112 SuperCoach points. But the story for North today was a shout out. I'd never heard of this bloke. I didn't know if he was going to get a game when we saw the sides on Thursday night. But Trembath kicked 3. Good luck to the young bloke.
And I don't think he's played forward for ages. He came into the club as a key defender,
Yep.
And I don't remember, I haven't looked at North VFL for ages because last time I looked at it was when Geordie Payne was supposed to debut and I couldn't remember what had happened. But Christ, I can't remember the last time I've seen him play forward. So fair enough to him. He's one game, 3 goals. It's a good record to have at the minute.
Absolutely, six disposals for 3 goals, 1. So he's getting involved. That's for sure. Every time he touches it, there's a score.
I didn't even know he was on a proper contract. I'll be honest with you. I thought he was on just a Cat B or something like that. But
he might well be. That Cat B can play now, so they did change that last year. So
can now.
even because Jaden Newen for us is on the Cat B contract as well. So I think it's you don't have to have an injury or anything now. That they can just all play. Right. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's good game. Good game to start it off. Let's see what happens from here on in. But North are probably looking for the finish line too, a little bit like a lot of teams. Yeah. Good to see him do well though. I love seeing the young guys do well though, no matter what team. Like it's hard to break into AFL footy, and the ones who take their chances, I love seeing it. So this Melbourne Bulldogs game was a really good game of footy. Melbourne had a crack. Bulldogs did enough in the end. Probably that's the best way to describe it. They weren't great, but they did enough. And it was, right until the last 3-4 minutes, it was dicey whether the Dogs would be out and season over for them. I think every Channel 7 and Foxtel employee in the country is probably breathing a sigh of relief about now.
Oh, 100%. 100%. They've got some primetime games to put on now. The top 8 has a chance of surviving. But, mate, we've said it a couple of times this year, but fucking hell, how good has Ed Richards been this year?
Yeah,
my God.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Brilliant. He was excellent today. 148 SuperCoach points, 2 goals, 31 disposals. Far and away best on ground, I thought. He was the difference between the two teams. And the other bloke that, I mean, we all marvel at Sam Darcy for very good reason, and he's going to be a freak. But what it's done for Aaron Norton, Darcy being back in the team, has been unbelievable. Like he's kicking 5 a week. He's kicking his straight again. He's always been a good mark of the footy. He's getting up and back, and he's in ripping form. I think he's up in the top 3 or 4 in the Coleman now, isn't he, Norton?
Yeah, I think I'm fairly sure you're right in saying that. He'd be quite close now, especially recently. But obviously no one's catching Jezza. But for the start of the season, Norton had, and there was calls for him to be dropped a good way through the season. Now he's first name on the team sheet recently.
Absolutely. So it's good for him. Good to see. Bont. I thought Bont was just okay today. He did enough. Yeah, he got plenty of the ball. Did his job. Yeah, did his job. 125. Libba, good second half from Libba. I thought he was really quiet early, and then second half he got busy and 12 tackles for his 24 disposals and 121 SuperCoach points. Timmy English looked a bit dicey early in the, I want to say, third quarter. Looked like maybe his rib came crashing down, and then it was just winded, and he was okay, and he did okay. Got 100 SuperCoach points, which playing against Max Gawn, if you owned English, you'd be taking that every day of the week. Darcy even escaped with a 94 when he was really struggling early. I think at halftime he was on, I want to say, 15 or 16 SuperCoach points. So to get out of that game with a 94 is a good effort. And I think today he got most of his really good disposals higher up the ground when he was second ruck.
Yeah, I think you're probably right in saying that. Look, this game, we touched on a few of the big ones, but some of these guys that are performing for the Dogs, but then there's those guys like, I thought Riley Sanders would have such a big year, and then he's shit in the bed. There's people like, I don't know. It's been ordinary for the Dogs, and I'm not sure how they're going to go when it comes to the next 2 weeks. Max Gawn was awesome,
massive. Do you think that game starts to tilt if they go one ruck in the All Australian team? Do you think this last couple of weeks just says Max Gawn might nose out Brodie Grundy?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think I reckon they'll probably give it to Grundy at this stage, to be honest with you. But
it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
I got a feeling they probably pick 2 rucks this year.
Yeah, I think they probably got to, or at least they'll put one of them on the bench.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those years where they might say there's been no really standout key defenders, and there's always standout midfielders, there's always standout tall forwards who kick a bag, but I think you could mount an argument this year that the second best ruckman is having as much impact for his team as anyone else. So I think it's one of those years where I don't love 2 rucks in an All-Australian setup, but if they did it, I could understand why.
Yeah, I think that this might be the year to do it.
Yeah,
the way that Max and Grundy have been playing.
For Melbourne, they had a genuine crack. Obviously no coach now, and I didn't see that much different. There's probably a couple of bits at the end, and this was more last quarter than full game. I saw Bowie get up amongst the ball a little bit higher, but there wasn't a lot of positional moves or anything. It just seemed the same, and they had a crack. That was all.
Yeah, and fair play to Melbourne, to be honest. I thought they'd get absolutely hammered in this game, especially after, the sacking of your coach and having an interim come in. And obviously he's been around the club for ages, but at the same time, it's hard to adapt and all the distractions that have been going around. I thought they did real well to only lose by 6, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to show this one. DJ, he gets stuck into me because he knows I don't like the Dogs. I'll let you know, DJ, today I was a huge Doggy fan, mate. I was cheering loud in that last 10 minutes, hoping that they got up. Essendon's draft pick was just that little bit better when the Dogs got over the line. So we're death riding Melbourne hard for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. And I won't be cheering for them, but round 24 I'll even be hoping that Carlton beat Hurls and Deadly. That's how much I want this draft pick to be as crap as possible, as low as possible.
I wouldn't mind if Richmond won another game or something. That would be all right. Richmond won a game. We shut the bed a bit. I wouldn't hate that.
No, but we need Carlton to jump Melbourne, because Carlton are going to have, they don't have their pick, but Hawthorn obviously have it. And Carlton are going to get the TDK pick. So we can't afford Melbourne to finish above Carlton. They have to finish below them. No. So if I have to cheer Carlton home in round 24 and I'll high-five some Carlton flogs at the MCG or something, so be it. We'll do it. It's all for the long term.
My best memory of Melbourne last year was I think I've told this story on the pod a couple of times, was right after Jack Higgins kicked that goal to basically put Carlton out of the finals before Freo and Port had that game, which put them back in. Yep. They played the game at Marvel, and Jack Higgins kicked the goal with 30 seconds left and 1 St Kilda of the game. And I was just walking around Southern Cross train station and just Carlton, just screaming. Every bloke wanted to punch me. It was.
That's good. I think there's a world where round 24, everyone that goes to that Thursday night game goes away happy. Essendon will get a better draft pick. Carlton will win a game that means absolutely nothing, and everyone's happy, and we're all winners. That's just what we can hope for. Anyway, we'll move into the last game, which surprisingly, again, this was a cracker. West Coast had a genuine crack. And one thing I will say, and I was flicking a bit. The last half, obviously, I watched a bit of this because the other game was finished, but I was watching a bit more of the Doggies Melbourne game than the first half of this one. But they brought extreme pressure, West Coast. And I think you can start to see what McWaltz is all about. That Richmond press is really obvious. And they don't have the cattle to bring the pressure often enough, but they showed today that when they do, they've got some ability to move the ball. And I have to just leave some space here for you to call out and talk about the GOAT, Campbell Chesser.
Mate, he's revolutionised West Coast. He's been awesome the past couple of weeks, hasn't he?
He has.
I suppose, I got not much to say. We knew he was great. We knew he was awesome, and he's exceeding expectations. So keep going, young man.
I agree. I think there's a lot of people out there who are Insight members who will probably love taking the piss because, you know, they know that your super coach name is Chesser, not Checkers, and you got posters on your wall of Campbell Chesser and all this stuff, and they take the piss. But I think the last 2 weeks have shown your reason for hyping this bloke up was justified. He just had injuries, so I think you can take credit for this one, mate.
No, but in all seriousness, there was whispers going around throughout the year that potentially, you know, if he didn't get his body right and whatnot, he'd probably get delisted, probably wouldn't get another AFL shot. So not even just as a Chesser fan, just as a footy fan, I'm happy to see a story like this where a bloke can come back from injuries and potentially earn himself a spot back on a team consistently.
Yeah, and I think the other thing it shows is if you're just forced to play young blokes often enough, you can start to see the green shoots. Like I think Tom McCarthy was amazing again. 80 SuperCoach points was absolutely horrific compared to the game he played. I thought he was brilliant. So he was really good. He's going to be in their long-term future. You got Brody Hoff's doing an okay job tagging week by week. He's not a star, but he's someone that can be in that sort of midfield mix. Chesser looks a player. I think Hewitt looks a player. You got Shanahan, who looks an absolute like he's going to be a really, really good forward in the AFL.
Why do I not have him?
Yeah, you got Archer Reed. You got I think there's enough there that West Coast fans, and I don't want to be too complimentary to West Coast either, because living here in WA, they're painful. It's been great that they are silent at the moment, but there's enough there to show that in a few years, with enough development and stuff like that, they need a lot more support. They need to bring in some other players around them and that, but they've got some players there to start building around, which is good.
Just quickly, mate. I'm going to give you the floor again. Now you made a tweet midway through this game, and think you know where I'm going with this, but it got a bit of traction. I'll tell you this tweet pretty quickly. But Dan Curtin is clearly a good young player. There is no way he should be $1.65 for the Rising Star, though. Media manipulation at its finest.
Yeah,
8 touches. I think you're probably right. He was pretty ordinary.
I'm big on this, and this could be seen as cherry picking, right? Like he's played one of his poor games, and we know young blokes play poor games. That's just part and parcel of being young. You're inconsistent. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the kid. Dan Curtin is a bloody good footballer. He's absolutely in the conversation with, I think, 3 other great footballers. And there's even a couple just behind the top 4 that I think are really good footballers. And I put that tweet out just because I think Curtin came from absolute nowhere in about round 16 to be all of a sudden favourite. And it was on the back of about 4 great games. And I went in a follow-up tweet to say that Curtin was probably best on ground for 2 or 3 games, not just best kid, best player in the whole game for a couple of games. So the kid can play. He's a star. But I just think $1.65 for the Rising Star, when you've had Ashcroft in a really good team all year, holding his own. You've had Murphy Reid. I mean, I don't think we've seen a first-year player with that number of goals and goal assists combination ever in the history of the game. So he would be my favourite if I was framing a market. And our bloke Archie Roberts, who I think is just behind Murphy Reid and Levi Ashcroft in my opinion, but I think he should still be in the conversation with Dan Curtin. And I just think the way the media just keep sort of talking up certain blokes at certain times, I think it doesn't do this award justice. And that was what my point wasn't, to have a crack at Dan Curtin, because I think he's fabulous, but I just 100%. Don't think he should be $1.65.
100%. And just touching on awards, it's been about 5 minutes. We've touched on this game. We haven't said a word about Jordan Dawson. Brilliant. Good chance he definitely got 3 votes again in this one, but Christ, he's got to be going close to the Brownlow now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he had another great game. I think Isaac Rankin had a great second half, which will put a little bit of pressure on what the umpires view, because he was invisible in the first half and then by far the best player in the second half. Dawson was good all day. He could, again, Brownlow's another interesting one. Like you got Anderson, Dawson, Dacos, probably a few others in the mix, but at least those three.
Dropped out now, yeah.
Bailey Smith, maybe. People talking about Sarong. I'm not as big on Sarong. I think he's had a lot of bad games as well, although he will get some votes. I don't think that Brownlow will be over at this stage. I think it's going to be a close count.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be close.
I think it could be interesting, and maybe whoever wins it needs to get 2 more good games coming home in the last 2 weeks, which would be a good thing and good for the count. But Dawson owners would have loved it. 146. All the talk of they might rest him. I think that the game being close would have just put a smile on any Dawson owner's face because they had to keep him around the footy and he played well. And the last one, I want to just a little shout out here. Damien, who's a good friend of ours in our punters club. He put a tweet out earlier in the week. Who am I picking with my last tweet? With my last trade. I want someone fun.
Yes.
And I pointed him in the direction of Riley Thilthorpe. Yeah. And when he went off at that point, holding his neck and his head, I'm like, oh no, I've stuffed him up here. But he came back on and absolutely dominated. And he ended up at 126. You wanted fun, Damien? You got it, mate. He was struggling, and then he just dominated the last quarter to come home with it like a train and got 126. So brilliant.
Yeah. Speaking of coming home like a train. Isaac Rankin, 6 points after the first quarter, 16 after the second quarter. So halftime winning at 16, and then 63 points in the third and 42 in the fourth to finish on a 121. So very good.
Massive.
Yeah.
That's the games covered, everyone. Just a reminder, we are going to run a little competition. So anyone who's listening in, get onto YouTube and type in your score for the week. Let us know who it was, what your SuperCoach score was. If you're the highest that messages into the show tonight while we're on air, we will give you a prize pack from the Standard Squeeze. So it doesn't cost you anything. I don't know why more people haven't chucked their score in. Why wouldn't you if you got a chance to win? Although if your score's like mine, I know why you didn't put your score in because it was shit, and there's no way that I would have won anything. But should we get to some questions, mate?
Yeah, 100%. Let's jump into it.
Let's get into some questions.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
All right, let's go right back to the top and have a look here. Corey scored a 25-18 this week. Changed from the VC from Nass to Jackson and C. Dawson to Sherry. Oh, could have been a bit higher then. So you only took 100. I think it was 104 from Sherry, maybe. So maybe cost yourself 40 points or something there, Causa. But it's the clubhouse leader. Anyway, you're ahead for the Standard Squeeze pack
for now.
We'll see if that holds. Next one up, Frankie. I'm not telling you my score. All I say, put the C on Anderson. Frankie, it's unlucky. I didn't have the C or the VC on him, but Anderson did cost me my league matchups in all my cash leagues, so he can get stuff. No, he's been really good, Anderson, so I won't be too critical there. Great mate of the show, Peter Wern, Gold Coast Suns legend, 26-48 with the C on Bont. So I think that makes you the leader so far, Peter. Well done.
Very nice.
We'll keep going through. There's some questions and comments as well coming through here. Frankie, hopefully Bo McCreary and Hill add a little speed. Yeah, Collingwood fan, Frankie. I think that's right. I think there's 3 missing pieces for Collingwood at the moment, and we spoke a little bit, Deadly, about Howe and the horrific injury early in the game, but he's sorely missed down back. And then these 2 blokes, as the transition speed running up and back, they really do need those blokes back, don't they?
100%. Yeah, the speed that those guys bring are definitely what they needed, Collingwood. And I do think they'll improve at this stage. But for my good mate Lachlan in the chat, I hope for his sake that they don't improve, because it's always fun to put shit on him when Collingwood lose.
Yeah. Matthew Granger, he's a good man in a lot of the Insight comps. He plays all sorts of Insight fantasy sports. Traded Merritt for Holmes. Merritt outscored him by 20. Hurt for 1 week, but Merritt's now gone, Matty. So you're the one with the last laugh. So Holmes is still playing next week and Merritt isn't. So that's not a bad thing in the end. You cop that 20-point loss. this could be controversial, Deadly. We're both Essendon fans. Do you want to be Richmond or Essendon right now?
Oh, that's actually tough. I was messaging a Richmond mate of mine throughout the week. They've drafted so good.
Hmm.
Can I mix and match? I have a few Essendon rookies here, and I have a few Richmond rookies here.
Yeah.
Nah, look, I've got to back Essendon, and no matter what they do, I suppose. But look, I will say this much: Taj Hott and Josh Smiley, and the likes of them boys are pretty good up and coming footballers.
Yeah, I think I said this. Let's remove Essendon from the equation for a minute, because otherwise we'll get accused of talking about them too much. I said at about draft time last year, when Richmond did what they did, it's going to be a really good test case of whether just culling senior guys and going heavily into the draft can be a quick rebuild, or whether it still takes a lot of pain. So I'm looking at Richmond really closely. I've loved what they've done this year. I like all of the kids that they picked up. They've got another 2 high draft picks this year that they'll most likely, you would think, go to the draft with and pick 2 more good kids. And let's see what happens. I think most clubs will be watching this, right? Yeah, and you've got the luxury of doing it when you've got some trophies in the cabinet, where you can say, our supporters will cop going right to the bottom and being shit for a few years, and we'll suck that up and we'll rebuild, and let's see if it works. I think it's a bold move. It hasn't proven anything yet, but they look good, so no issue with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Causa knows someone who had lost his final with the VC on Grundy. Yeah, again, not much sympathy from us. Grundy, we're non-Grundy owners, and those guys have had such extreme scoring for so long.
Yeah,
exactly. Butters tag next week. Lord's going to tag him. This will be an interesting test. Is the right type of player that Lord might go to and do okay on?
Yeah. Good speed guy, real quick out the stoppage type of operator. Yeah, I think he'll like this matchup, and it's definitely probably his hardest test though. Anderson's good, but an on-form Butters is one of the best in the comp.
Yeah, great. And here's another thought that I've just had. This could even be a better scenario, Deadly. I said I'm going to go to round 24 and maybe have to cheer for Carlton. If Carlton can beat Port this week, then we can beat Carlton the week after, and it won't matter. Then it'll be good.
No, but what if we finish? We want to finish below Richmond. Surely we'll take pick 3.
But I don't think Richmond are going to win any games, are they?
Well, who have they got the next 2 weeks? who are we playing against?
I don't know, but I think the trouble with that was I think our percentage is a bit higher than Richmond's.
North,
and we were hoping
they could beat North next week.
They could beat North, but then we're still percentage ahead of them, and we were hoping. Well, we could have got belted by more by Geelong. No, we won't. We won't worry about that.
We'll see how we go. There is a chance, definitely for sure. They've got Geelong. I'm worried about that game. Yeah. Could be a bit of a thrashing.
Could be ugly. Yeah. Causa again. Zach Reed over Trainer and Pryor and Zach. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the kind of moves.
A lot of people.
Yeah. I did the same. I think. I think these are the kind of moves that we played the break-even game really closely. And it bit us, but maybe we can learn from that next year and do some different things. A bit of a question here: is Merritt out for the year? Have you heard, Deadly? If it's, I heard 1 week, but who knows after that?
It's probably meant to be 1 week, but at this stage, would you bother playing him the second week? Like seriously?
Well, he's due to play his 250th. Whenever he plays again, is his 250th game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They might play him. I think if he misses 2, I wouldn't play him on the Gold Coast for his 250th, put it that way. But if he misses 1, the Carlton game, Thursday night, Merritt's 250th wouldn't be a bad way to send off your Melbourne fans that have had a tough year, maybe. But that's assuming his hands okay.
He's out for 1 week. Whether it's 2 is to be determined. But yes, he's at least out for 1 week.
Yeah, I agree. DJ, I thought they left Pickett too long on the bench. It was interesting. The commentators made mention of this too. It was a goal kicked and they still sat him there. The sports scientists run this show. I don't think you're allowed. They don't put you back on, no matter what happens. If you haven't done if you've done the Ks and that, they just make you sit out. That's just the way it is these days, unfortunately.
Yeah, pretty much.
Matty, guys, I'd like some insight on this Campbell Chesser kid. Haven't heard much about him, Deadly. What do you reckon?
I think Matt Marquez needs to learn ball. That's just what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Get your knowledge up, buddy.
Here he goes. He's come in with a 26.08. Not quite enough to. Nah, Pete's a bit higher. 500 points better than Deadly. Is that about right?
Probably close.
Not quite. Won't be that much, will it?
200 or so. I think I got 24 something.
Yeah, I was 24.70. I think
Ross also 26.08 as well.
Ross
so
26.08.
Lead. If anyone, any late barnstormers to overtake Pete's. What did he score? 28.
We'll have a look. One last 40. One from Causa. Shout out here. I think is it Tom versus Corey in the SuperCoach Keeper Grand Final.
Yep.
Good luck to both of you boys. Big game this week. It's been an interesting year in the SuperCoach Keeper League at IFF. Let's put it that way.
Anyone who is keeping up with Deadly's IFS Keeper League, we did go defeated. We did not win a game.
Undefeated. Undefeated in being defeated.
No, defeated. We will take pick one. Cooper Duff Titler will come home.
There you go. A couple of others here. Yeah, I think this is spot on, Matty Marquez. Winning SuperCoach all comes to making the exact moves at the right time. It is. There's so much about timing. You know, if you dropped Rowell at the right time, picked up Rowell at the right time, if you picked up Grundy at the right time, and these kinds of things, they just made such a difference. So I agree.
100%.
Corey, the weekly winner was 28.71. Yeah, so that's down 300 or 400 points on the last couple of weeks. But still pretty high. Still a big score, isn't it? 28.71
too. That's not. You could have definitely had a better captain too. Had all the top scores really.
There's no other scores coming through, but here's a hypothetical for you. Deadly from TJ. Who are you taking on a date if you had the choice between Campbell Chesser and Ben Keys?
So you can put all these Chesser versus Keys things up against me. The answer is always going to be Campbell Chesser. He was my number one true love. Ben Keys was sort of like the side fling that came on for a bit while Chesser was injured, just needed a rebound. But now Chesser's back. We are
back on. We're
back on.
Let's hope he stays injury free and doesn't get the flick anytime soon. But that's all for the questions. So we're gonna call the comp there. We're gonna say that Peter Wern is our winner for the week, 26.48. He's the winner for our squeeze prize pack. So Pete, get in touch with Horse, send him a message. He'll send you some standard squeeze merchandise. But Deadly, just a quick one before we go. It is really heating up in the SuperCoach world. We're really sort of tampering or coming down off the end of our AFL season, and there will be an AFL finals comp, and we'll talk about that in the coming weeks, I'm sure, and because AFL players who only play AFL will be really interested in that, so we'll definitely do something around that. But for those who like other sports, IFS is just flying at the moment. We've got our NFL shows pretty much daily. The boys are cracking out. I saw that Secco was releasing his early SuperCoach NFL team tonight. So if you haven't seen that on the channel because you're watching us, we understand so you should be watching us. But have a look at that as well. They're also releasing content daily. I know. What else are you doing, Deadly? You're doing some work around EPL and NBA and all sorts of stuff, aren't you?
Yeah. So, I'm not in the NBA team. Thank God.
Oh, okay.
Look, I love my NBA.
That's too hard to keep up with.
I'll tell you what, I don't know how Broads is keeping up with it because I tell you what, the amount of work that bloke's doing at the minute is unreal. But yeah, they've got a team of about seven blokes in the NBA, and they're all doing ripping work. They're going through team previews each day, uploading them to YouTube. So if you haven't seen any of them, I think they got Brooklyn and Atlanta out at the minute. So go watch them. Few good guys over there, the horses over there, a few boys from the NRL show. Me and the Whisperer doing EPL. We've got a episode coming out, I believe, tomorrow, and then we filmed 2 today. and we've got one coming out tomorrow and Wednesday or something. And then also, if you go into the Whisperers, either Instagram or Twitter, if you have any questions to ask us for EPL, go right ahead and shoot him the message, and we'll answer him for you because the season kicks off in 5 days. But yeah, mate, let's just put it this way. There's plenty of stuff going on, and I think there's more to come soon with BBL and NBL only around the corner as well.
Absolutely. And it never stops. And that's the beauty of Insight. We're not just an AFL channel, we're an Insight Fantasy Sports channel. And so we've got you covered on all of these sports. Go and have a look. Join the Patreons in there. You'll get access to all the different exclusive material. You get to see all the things, leagues, and we set up private leagues and cash leagues and all sorts of fun stuff for all these different sports. So get on and join whichever one floats your boat. There's a sport out there for everyone. But we'll finish off tonight with our usual saying and just making sure that we do take this really seriously, and it's not just a catch cry at the end of every episode, but we want to just make sure that mental health, and especially men's mental health, which is something that doesn't necessarily get the same airtime as other things possibly get. And so if you are struggling out there, if you're getting down, and most of us have suffered from some form of mental health in some way, in varying degrees. But if you want to talk to any of us, if you want to send us a private message, all of our inboxes are open. That we can point you in the direction of some other support. We're not experts in any way, shape or form, but sometimes it just is nice to know someone will listen, and we're always available. But it's okay not to be okay, and it's not weak to speak. So if you're struggling out there, please do reach out either to professional help or just send someone a message. And we really do want to make sure that we genuinely care about the people in our community. So we'll end the show like we normally do on there. Deadly, we will see you again probably either the preview show Wednesday or the Panic Room on Thursday. I don't know which one you'll be up for next, but members, you'll get the numbers show as usual on a Tuesday night. I'll be back Wednesday night for the preview show. Deadly definitely for Panic Room Thursday night. Yeah. And we're counting down to round 24 where we can catch up with all of you good people out at one of the footy games and have a beverage or two. So look forward to that. We'll see you all on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday night.
Cheers, guys.